Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is my co-host, Kohenet Annie Matan. I'm Kohenet Devorah Grenn, and we are thrilled to be doing our 20th episode of Tending Lilith's Fire from Toronto and Northern California. And this will be a shorter version than usual and more musical than usual, maybe. But we've decided to enter this period of the richness, the prolific nature of the darkness with a chant from Annie, and we'll go from there.
So the darkness chant that I'm going to offer is a modified version of a yoga blessing. And I don't know the original author, but the modifications are my own. In this darkness, deep peace. In this darkness, no fear. In this darkness, greatest happiness. In this darkness, safety. In this darkness, all is well. In this darkness, healthy cells. In this darkness, greatest happiness. In this darkness, deep peace.
Beautiful. So many words never associated with darkness usually. It's a lovely approach. It's a way to bathe in it, in the riches of it, instead of fearing it, isn't it?
Yes, I love this word you're using, riches, the richness of the darkness. I love that. I love what that evokes. And for me, I love this time of year as we get close to solstice and experiencing all these festivals of light, which I think are sympathetic magic. Like we bring light, you bring light, like from societies that were saying, oh no, is the light going to come back?
Right.
And in the past, last year was the first year I really explored this idea that we get really frenzied about bringing the light. And I've been really enjoying for the last 2 years now, the opportunity to bask in the darkness and to feel, I love this word that you bring to our richness, to like bathe in that richness of which, so for me, and I'm curious to hear if you have more, for me, darkness, I learned a lot of this from Jill Hammer, Rabbi Jill Hammer, Rev Kohenet, Rabbi Jill Hammer, she's got lots of titles, that darkness is the womb and the deep and the mystery and the night sky. And so it's for me like a place of gestation and generativeness and rest. And one more also in Jewish tradition in the Torah, because this, text, like the story takes place in a part of the world that is often dangerously light and hot. So the darkness and the shade save us, are soothing and restful. And I love that too. So these are all like, are all aspects of the dark that I really want to be celebrating.
Yes, and I think I come to the word riches from learning from Audre Lorde, the poet and activist, author, educator. And I wish she was still here because I would have loved to meet her. But her work and her vision of the darkness as a place of thonic underground, thonic knowledge and wisdom, of deep exploration, of fertile place of creativity and power.
I don't know the word thonic. What is thonic?
So it has to do with being underground. And that's all I can say about it at the moment, because it's always mysterious to me, but I know it when I hear it, and I have an image when I hear it. And I always picture darkness with it, but I think that's because of my attachment to Lorde's writing. it's a place of mystery, of course, as well. And so I also think of the descent myth of Inanna and of Ishtar, because it talks about them going into the underworld, certainly into the darkness. In the case of Inanna, it was voluntary. It was in search of wisdom. It was something she did intentionally to individuate and to visit her sister, Ereshkigal, who was queen of the underworld. And so she goes, each of them go through 7 gates in which they are removing the trappings of power, of materiality, the breastplate, the crown, the loincloth, till they are naked at the 7th gate, after the 7th gate. And so I learned from Betty DeShong Meador, who's done so much of the work and the translation of Enheduanna's writings to and about Inanna as her personal deity, from like 2350 BCE. Thank you very much. The first writing by a woman. And you know, how they write about it. She writes about it as a woman's choice to do this, not that she was dragged into the underworld against her will, but also looking at the descent as a journey of power, as a place. Yes, the underworld's not fun. Her flesh was hanging on a peg for 3 days and nights because her sister got mad at her. And later she was resurrected, which of course gave rise to a lot of later death and resurrection stories and cycles in different religions, as we know. But that place being potentially a place of growth, and that one can then make the ascent and be more creative or productive or have new perspective, be transformed. And so I've learned to look at darkness that way as well, a place of transformation. Not that it's always fun to be in it, because that's that place of the unknown.
I like to avoid the part where it's not fun.
Which all do. We all would like to avoid it.
And actually, I think we talked about this when we were in it in the summer. We were also experiencing, like, we were both in a really hard place for a while, I think in July. And we talked about this descent, like going into the darkness. And here we're looking at it from a bit of a different lens, a different angle. And I'm really interested too in the choice to go into the darkness it makes me think of mikvah, which we also mentioned in the last episode on choosing joy, that like mikvah bathing is a way of refreshing. And I imagine like walking into the ritual bath and going down, 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 and as a place of rebirth. And especially because in this story of Inanna, we're naked in there, right? And there's nothing but us. And so when we like peel off all of the layers that we've been, piling on throughout our life, we peel those all away and we get back to our essence. And from there, we are reborn. From there, we evolve. From there, we transform. And then the darkness, then what's evoked for me is the cocoon. Like we wrap ourselves, the cocoon is made by like wrapping ourselves, but then turning into goo inside, coming back to just like the barest essence, and then being born from there a whole new beautiful creature.
And this really reminds me of Judy Grahn's Blood, Bread, and Roses, where she talks about menstruation creating the world, women's menstrual rights, and that period of seclusion, which is often in the darkness or near darkness, and then emergence after the woman has stopped bleeding. And that is, of course, not only transformative time, but a time when you then have a new state of consciousness when you emerge. So in both cases, that is the case, whether you are going to the menstrual hut and then emerging a few days later, or making that descent. And for me, the difference in being comfortable at that place, that bottom of the abyss, is on whether we choose, as Inanna did, to go there, or whether we're dragged there involuntarily. I think makes a big difference.
I don't know. Inanna chose to go there, and she still faced discomfort.
True.
So I think that's important to name. And there was one other chant that I wanted to offer today, and I feel like this is the right place for it. It's like when we're in the discomfort, in the dark, and it's not time yet. Like we don't know yet what we're becoming. We just know we're in process, and maybe we don't even know that. We're like, why? We're in the why and in the yearning, and in the space in between, that liminal space in between. And that's a place from which, actually, before we started recording, one of the topics we were thinking about for today, and we didn't quite find our way there, was conversations with the divine, talking to Goddess. And this chant is that, actually. It's from Psalms, and the words are, I call out to you, for you will answer me, God or Goddess. And I love, it's similar to, like, there are many others like this. There's from the deep I call to you, there's from the narrow place I call to you. And at least in the Hebrew text, there's often the response, like mim amikim, from the narrows I call to you, and you answer from the expanse. And this psalm also, I call to you knowing that there will be an answer. And even if all I can do for now is call out. And Reb Zalman Schachter-Shalomi said, at least in Jewish tradition, like, we do a lot of talking in our praying. And one of the things that we're less good at, that he invited, was, he's like, okay, say the prayers and then get quiet, because we need to get quiet to listen for the reply, to listen for the response. So maybe even I'll do this chant and then we'll give just a little bit of silence. And I offer it to you if you want to sing it, you know, those who are watching, try it out and then try sitting in the quiet and see what answers come.
Absolutely. Best part.
Yeah. Okay. And, you know, my darkness these days is I've had a cold that's persisting for a while. Thankfully not COVID, just discomfort. So you can hear I'm feeling self-conscious of my wobblier than usual voice. I call out to you, for you will answer me, God, will answer me, God. Ani kratich ki taniniel, taniniel. I call out to you, for you will answer me, God, will answer me, God. Ani kratich ki taniniel, taniniel. You'll answer me, God. You'll answer me, God.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Well,
I think that's a good place to end.
A good place. Yeah. Blessings of explorations of the sacred dark for all of us.
Indeed. See you next time.
Indeed.